The Muslim Congress, TMC. The Muslim Congress, TMC. The Muslim Congress, TMC. The Muslim Congress, TMC.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
The Muslim Congress, TMC.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله وصلى النبي وعلى آله
Congress, TMC.
ويسر لهم الأمر وعلى العقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. إخوة الإيمان السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. People are not responding to my salam. What's happened? Okay, I know what is responsible for that. It's because we are not starting as expected.
Recording in
I think,
progress.
we all know that this is a country we found ourselves. A lot of it. Sincerely apologize to you, viewers at home, for starting the program a bit late. May Almighty Allah overlook all our shortcomings, and this is for us to also confess and also reassure you that inshallah
Congress, TMC.
national ITP will not be like this, because we have tested it, we have tested it, we are experiencing it, we are seeing how the technology cause kind of setback. So we sincerely apologize to my teaming audience at home. Please forgive these shortcomings. Okay, I know what is responsible for that. It's because we are not starting inshallah to comment.
Recording in progress.
We all know ITP proper. This is a country we find ourselves. Podium. One of our ustads in the house sincerely apologize in the opening prayer. It's another person at home and the acting wali of the program a bit late. Al Ustaz Allah the Wahid Omotunde and this is going to be joining me in the studio. Also confess and also the opening prayer. I assure you this inshallah
Congress, TMC.
national ITP will not be like this because we have tested it, we have tested it, we are experiencing it, we are seeing how the technology would cause kind of setback. So we sincerely apologize to my Salami audience at home. Please forgive this shortcoming. I know what is responsible because we are not starting inshallah to comment.
Recording in progress.
We all know ITP proper. This is a country we find ourselves. One of our stars in the house sincerely apologize to you, other viewers at home, and the actual value of the program is a bit late. And stars, Allah, and this is going to be joining me in the studio. Also confess and also opening prayer. I assure you this inshallah.
Congress, TMC.
National ITP will not be like this because we have tested it, we have tested it, we are experiencing it, we are seeing how the technology would cause kind of setback. So we sincerely apologize to my Salami audience at home. Please forgive this shortcoming. I know what is responsible because we are not starting inshallah to comment.
Recording in progress.
ITP proper. This is a country we find ourselves. One of our stars in the house sincerely apologize to you, other viewers at home, and the actual value of the program is a bit late. Stars, Allah, and this is going to be joining me in the studio. Also confess and also opening prayer. I assure you this inshallah.
Congress, TMC.
National ITP will not be like this because we have tested it, we are experiencing it, we are seeing how the technology also kind of after the opening prayer. I know what is responsible because we are not starting inshallah.
Recording in progress.
ITP provides let me find ourselves one of our stars in the house sincerely apologize to you, other viewers at home, and the actual value of the program is the moment is going to recite for us briefly, and this is going to be joining me in the studio. Also confess and also opening prayer. I assure you this
Congress, TMC.
national ITP be like this because we have tested it, we are experiencing it, we are seeing how the technology also kind of after the opening prayer. I know what is responsible because we are not starting inshallah.
Recording in progress.
ITP provides let me find ourselves one of our stars in the house sincerely apologize to you, other viewers at home, and the actual value of the program the moment is going to recite for us briefly, and this is going to be joining me in the studio. Also confess and also opening prayer. I assure you this
Congress, TMC.
national ITP be like this because we have tested it, we are experiencing it, we are seeing how the technology also kind of after the opening I know what is responsible.
Recording in
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله صدق الله العظيم وبلغ رسول الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين ومن الشاكرين. We thank our brother for that recitation from the glorious Quran. May Allah accept it from each and every one of us, the listeners, and the one who has recited it as that of Ibadah. Inshallah, the next thing on the lineup of our program for this mock NITP, just like we said it is mock. We all know what mock means. We did mock when we were in secondary school, mock exam. So it's just a kind of a practice and to lay bare the expectations and what you'll be meeting at the real NITP come 24th to 26th of December. That is Friday of this week to Sunday of this week, 2021. May Allah make it easy for us. As we all know that the theme for this year's NITP is no other thing than restoration of national values, our collective responsibility. The TMC Muslim Congress, we have looked at the environment. We discovered that one of the most prevalent challenges of our nation is that the national values are getting eroded. So we have set out to come with erudite scholars from different phases of life, internationally, locally, to discuss how we can restore our national values and what are the responsibilities of each and every one of us towards restoring the national value. And this is the theme of this year's NITP. And for us to start on a proper note, that is why we have staged a mock NITP where we test our equipment, we test the readiness of our facilitators, and of course we'll be getting feedback from audience. So members of the audience, please do not think that it's only me that will be talking. You will still talk. There will be time for the audience to speak out your expectation. What do you feel about the National Islamic Training Program of the Muslim Congress, the second virtual edition? But what I have before me now is for me to introduce to you some of the facilitators on seat, and of course I will also introduce to you some of the members of the crew that will say Teslim to the audience in the house. This is a way of getting ourselves acclimatized to the technology that we are using for the second edition of our virtual Islamic training program. So I have among the facilitators, among the people who have brought this NITP mock NITP to the limelight, the vice chairman of the committee is going to show his face to the audience in the house, and of course he's going to say Teslim to each and every one of us. You know, the vice chairman is no other person than Malam Salman. Please come to the podium and say Teslim. You are among the facilitator, and what we have next is to introduce to the audience the facilitator we have in the house.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here.
Alhamdulillah.
And I believe we're going to have a very good time, every one of us. So I'm looking forward to engaging with our audience from around the world. Assalamu alaikum once again.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi. Thank you very much. I think our teaming audience in the house are happy to hear your voice again. The vice chairman is the Assistant Secretary General of the Muslim Congress worldwide, Al-Hajj Salman. You're welcome. We appreciate your coming to the podium.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, welcome. Also among the facilitator is the guards commandant of the Muslim Congress, Al-Hajj Olomomeson. Is just to say Teslim to the house. Kalimatullah. So say Teslim to the house. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I think I also have among the facilitators in absentia, Brother Komoruddin Oladujoye. So when he comes in, he is going to introduce himself to the audience. This is a mock edition, like I said earlier. We are testing the equipment and of course laying bare to you, audience at home, what you are expecting to meet in this second virtual edition of National Islamic Training Program. Having it in mind that our focus for this year is the restoration of our national values, our collective responsibilities. It has been shared to you the list of the lecturers, the speakers that are expected, both those in Nigeria and those abroad. We have among them um, on the online course. Inshallah, when the times unfolds, we shall introduce them. We open the camera and say testim to the house, and of course tell us a little about what the audience should expect from this year's National Islamic Training Program. So once again, I welcome you to the second edition of our Fajr Islamic Training Program, NITP, holding between 24th and 26th December 2021. The morning session is going to be between 8:40 a.m. to 1 p.m. And of course, the afternoon session is going to be between 4:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. on daily basis, starting from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. May Allah make it easy for us and accept it from all of us as out of Ibadah.
The Muslim Congress, TMC, is an Islamic organization with the vision of being on the forefront, sustaining the core values and culture of Islam through the implementation of the Quran and Sunnah. It is an organization established within and outside Nigeria. TMC is committed to the cause of Allah in all aspects and humanity. The organization has various organs, including Zakat and Sadaqat Foundation, Human Concern Foundation International, Center for Global Peace Initiative, and many more. Part of TMC's annual programs is the Islamic Training Program, ITP. This time, various spiritually lifting Islamic programs and lectures are designed under the banner of Quran and Sunnah at national, state, and local governments respectively. However, this year's annual gathering will be online, the second of its type since 2020.
I want to commend the organizers of this program. It's been wonderful. They have deployed technology to a new level and we are very happy about this. In fact, it is the way to continue so that in future, even when we are having the physical camp, the virtual continues because it reaches people who are in diaspora and it's going to really benefit. We congratulate them.
The Congress brings Muslims the opportunities to experience true Islamic communal living, where issues bordering on religion, economy, health, business, and more are discussed for capacity building, social interaction, and networking among scholars and Islamic members. ITP used to be a physical gathering in all the campsites, but this 28th edition is more of an ideal Muslim personality. The theme for this year is Restoration of National Values, our collective responsibility. And it comes up on Sunday 26 December 2021. Being an online edition, the morning session will begin 8:40 a.m. till 1 p.m. and evening session 4:30 p.m. through 6:30 p.m. It is a Muslim organization still setting agenda for societal reformation in line with Islamic injunctions. Visit www.tmcng.net.
Alright, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi audience. You're welcome back after a short time out to showcase some of our recorded video and documentaries for your delight. Alhamdulillah, we are back to the studio to continue the mock NITP second virtual edition of National Islamic Training Program. Now I will be inviting some of our guests that are online and some that are here in the studio with me to talk to the audience. The first person I want to invite as a form of recognition to say Taslim to the audience is the Amir of the Muslim Congress, Al-Hajj Abdulwasi Bangbala. Please open your mic and say Taslim to the members of the Congress and all Muslims and Muslims over the world who are watching the mock edition of Islamic training program. The Amir of the Congress, sir. Okay, so we're expecting that the Amir will join as soon as possible. So inshallah, the next thing on the agenda is for me to also invite to the podium one of our facilitators. In fact, he is one of the first person to be to log in to the Mock Vitp, and it's no other person than the chairman of Muslim Public Affairs Commission, MPAC. It's no other person than our brother Alhaj Kamaru Disu. So he's going to open his mic and his video. He's going to be talking to the audience within the next 2-3 minutes on what the audience should expect from him as regard the restoration of national values, our collective responsibility, as part of the lineup program for 2021 National Islamic Training Program. Thank you, sir. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear brother, our stars Alhaj Komor Disu, for that brief. In a short word, I just want you to tell us what is your own expectation from the audience. What do you expect from the audience, sir?
Crossfire discussions between myself and the audience in a way to actually get them to source them out, get them to participate, engage, as well as share their experience and their personal experience. At times, what you cannot find in an ocean, you can find in a river. This is my approach to things. So I'm willing to learn as much as in the same way that I'm willing to share my knowledge and experience.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow, that is interesting. I cannot wait till 24th of December. We'll be experiencing the engagement that you have talked about. So thank you very much for honoring our invitation for this mock edition of virtual NITP. We're expecting to see you at the real NITP, where your full lectures will be delivered and the audience will always be willing to engage you. So thank you very much, Jazakumullah khairan, for coming to the mock.
I'm in allow. Why you my heart heartfelt appreciation to every member of TMC. We are brothers, alhamdulillah. I'm glad to be invited, and it's actually a special honor for me to be able to share the podium with other great scholars that you have invited. I look forward to be part of that experience and make my contribution.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. We appreciate you and extend our greetings to all members of your family. Thank you. I want to call Imam Salman now. All right, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for your time. The delegate or the audience that have been on the call since, we appreciate, we value your participation. May Allah accept it from each and every one of us as out of Ibadah. Now, I will invite to join me on the podium one of our facilitator on the theme of this year's Islamic training program, Restoration of National Values, Our Collective Responsibility. It's no other person than our Imam Salman Muhammad Raji. He's going to be joining me on the podium to share with us within the next 2-3 minutes what the audience should expect from him as regards this virtual Islamic training program. Please join me to welcome our stars, Imam Salman Muhammad Raji.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You are welcome, Imam. You are looking nice. What is the secret of your beauty?
It's Almighty Allah.
Alhamdulillah, you're welcome. Now, so what should the audience expect from you?
Now, أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I greet you all once again with the best of the greetings, the salutation of the dwellers of paradise, saying Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
As we know that this is going to be the second edition of virtual Islamic training program, so and this year's theme is just focused on restoration of national values, our collective responsibility. The topic before me is our national values between yesterday and today, the need for restoration. So we are going to look at the meaning of national value, literally and technically. Literally and technically, that is, what is the literal meaning, the dictionary meaning of this word, the word values. Then literally, as it is used, the meaning of what we mean by national value. Then we are going to give examples of national value, like justice, like integrity, selflessness, and faithfulness, and so on. Then we want to look at our leaders, those who have ruled these countries, how they demonstrated all these praiseworthy values, how they demonstrated what we call patriotism. There is what we call a national consciousness, national integrity, and unity. How our past leaders kept the unity of this nation. Let me give example of one of our past leaders. When some people raised alarm, they wanted to break this nation into pieces. I could remember that golden speech that said to keep Nigeria one is a task that must be done. That was said by General Yakubu Gowon when some parts of this country want to be apart. So this is what they call a national unity. So that means the love of this nation to be one. He used all what he has with the people around him. Then when we are talking about discipline, we could all remember the first tenure of General Muhammad Buhari and his vice president during that time. That is Brigadier Tunde Idiagbon. How there is what they use, they say war against indiscipline. Why? So during that time, we all experience what we call orderliness. Even at bank and every place, people will be in queue. Not only that, all what we call indiscipline, hooliganism, and all sorts of social vices, they kicked war, they raised war against those attitudes. So this country, look at today now, we want to look at what is happening today, that we have all sorts of crises. In terms of security, people are taking laws into their hands, and so on and so forth. We have the case of kidnapping and banditry, all these social vices, because we have forgotten our national value. So we are trying to bring us back to yesterday. People who fought for the independence of these countries. Look at people like Sir Ahmadu Bello, Sardauna of Sokoto. Look at the people of Tafawa Balewa and people like that. In this southern part, look at Obafemi Awolowo. When we have not even discovered this oil, they use cocoa money to do many things to this country. They were able to give us a free education. That even majority of those who are ruling this country today, they enjoyed what we call a free education. So we have some past leaders who has ruled this country well, and we too we need to go back. Now, if you want to, for us to restore what we call national value, something is very, very, very important. Number one is faith in Almighty Creator. We should believe in the hereafter, that this world is not the end of our journey. We are going to give account of what we did on this earth. So all these ones are just few of what we have for us. May Almighty Allah preserve our life till that time.
All right, thank you very much, Ustaz, for that insight into what audience should expect from you. I want to ask you, and I believe that will also be the question of most of the audience on the call, that what precisely would be your own expectation from the audience when the lecture commences proper?
Number one, they need to listen attentively, to follow what we are saying, and to prepare their mind that is not listening is not enough, but to try to implement those points we are going to raise. Implementation is very, very important for the speaker and for the listener. They should try to implement it. So when we put all what we highlight in practice, definitely there will be change.
All right, Ustaz. So far we have been speaking in English, maybe because that is the general language for everyone. But I've been informed by the organizer that your lecture will be delivered in Yoruba language.
Yes.
So in brief, mo fẹ́ kẹ́ ṣàlàyé fún àwọn jọ̀mọ́ wa ń lé láàrin ìṣẹ́jú díẹ̀ péréte torí pé a ti lo púpọ̀ nínú àwọn àsìkò wa. Pé kí ni àwọn nǹkan tí àwọn èèyàn ń retí láti bá pàdé lọ́dọ̀ yín nínú wáàsí ITP tí ó máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ nínú ọ̀sẹ̀ yìí ní ọjọ́ Jímọ̀, láàrin ọjọ́ Jímọ̀ sí Sátidé àti Sunday.
Now, gẹ́gẹ́ bí a sọ yìí pé ní àkọlé ìpàgọ́ wa ní ọdún yìí, òun náà ni àwọn orípa rere àbáwọn wà rere tí orílẹ̀-èdè yìí yàn láàyò. Tàwa rí pé àwọn ìṣerere yóò sí láwùjọ wa máa lè ní àwa fẹ́ dá padà. Àwọn wa dáadáa yìí àwọn kan ti fi bá orílẹ̀-èdè yìí lò lánàá tí ìlú yóò bàjẹ́ báyìí, tí a dẹ̀ ń rí ìtọ́ka sí àwọn nǹkan ribiribi tí wọ́n gbèsè ní orílẹ̀-èdè yìí. Àwa fẹ́ pè wá sákèésí. If àwọn nǹkan tá à ń kọ́ àwọn ọmọ wa níléèwé, àwọn ẹ̀kọ́ kan bẹ tí wọ́n introduce sínú ẹ̀kọ́ àwọn ọmọ, even láti primary, láti iléèwé alákọ̀ọ́bẹ̀rẹ̀, wọ́n ń pè ní civic education, tí a ti ń kọ́ ọmọ ní àwọn àṣà àti ìwà ìlú wa. A dẹ̀ dúpẹ́ fún Ọlọ́run bá pé ìlú wa Nàìjíríà, àwọn tí Ọlọ́run kádàrá kí wọ́n gbé àwọn ètò náà kalẹ̀, àwọn nǹkan tó bá làákàyè mu náà ni wọ́n pè ní nǹkan tá a gbọ́dọ̀ pàtàkì. Wọ́n fẹ́ ká pàtàkì ìwà ìṣedéédé tá à ń pè ní justice. Wọ́n fẹ́ ká pàtàkì ká má mọ tara ẹni nìkan tá à ń pè ní selflessness. Lédè Lárúbáwá ń pè ní al-ithar. Ká ní bùkátà sí nǹkan kó ká gbọ́lá fún ọmọ ìyá wa míì tó nídìí rẹ̀. Kódà bíbí ń pa wá, ká wá rẹ́ lómi tẹ̀bí ń pa, ká wá yọ̀ǹda fún, ká má jẹ́ ẹni tó mọ tara ẹni nìkan. Bákan náà ìwà ká lóòótọ́, ká fi òótọ́ bá gbogbo àwọn ẹni tá à bá ń bá lò, ká fi òótọ́ bá wọn lò. Lẹ́ni àwọn èèyàn gbà pé ẹni tí ó bá parọ́ kò lè jẹ́ èèyàn, bẹ́ẹ̀ dẹ̀ ni kò rí bẹ́ẹ̀. Bákan náà wá ní ká nífẹ̀ẹ́ orílẹ̀-èdè wa tọkàntọkàn, ká dẹ̀ máa wò pé orípa wo lèmi fẹ́ là fún ìlú yìí tó pé bí n bá tiẹ̀ sí láyé mọ́ táwọn èèyàn máa sọ̀rọ̀ mi lọ láíláíláíláí. Bákan náà ni pé ní ìjọ kan ṣoṣo orílẹ̀-èdè wa yìí ká mú lọ́kùnkúndùn. Ṣùgbọ́n àwọn wà dáadáa yìí iná ni àwọn kan ti lò lánàá, àwọn kan jà pítapíta, wọ́n fi gba òmìnira fún wa lọ́dọ̀ àwọn òyìnbó amúnisìn, bí àwọn bàbá wa Sardauna, àwọn bàbá wa Nnamdi Azikiwe, àwọn bàbá wa Ọbáfẹ́mi Awólọ́wọ̀. Wọ́n jà pítapíta, wọ́n gba òmìnira. Wọ́n gbòmìnira náà tán, wọ́n gbìyànjú láti develop ìlú yìí. Níjọ́ tí ò tí ì sí epo rọ̀bì tá a ranjú mọ́lẹ̀ ní tó pé àwọn nǹkan àlùmọ́ọ́nì, àwọn nǹkan bí nǹkan ọ̀gbìn náà là ń lò, fún àpẹẹrẹ kòkó àrí àrà tí Awólọ́wọ̀ fi owó kòkó dá nínú ìlú yìí àrí ó fáwọn ẹ̀ ní ẹ̀kọ́ ọ̀fẹ́ gbogbo àwọn ìwà dáadáa báyìí tí àwọn kan ti fi bá orílẹ̀-èdè yìí lò báwo la ṣe dá padà ní ìsìn tẹ́nìkan bá ní àǹfààní àti wà lórí ìjọba kódé tí ètí pẹ́ púpọ̀ bàbá wa tó ẹ̀sẹ̀ lọ láìpẹ́ yìí àwọn bàbá wa Jákàndé Látìfù Jákàndé àrí àrà tí wọ́n dá ọ̀fẹ́ mọ́ síbi tí wọ́n kọ́ àwọn ilé olówó pọ́kú sí bákan náà àwọn náà ṣètò ètò ọ̀kọ́ ọ̀fẹ́ wọ́n kọ́ àwọn ilé ìwé káàkiri ọ̀gọ̀rọ̀ yẹn jàǹfààní látara wọn orúkọ wọn ò ní parẹ́ ṣe àwọn tí wọ́n wá délé ní bọ́ọ̀lù àná ò fi ju àwọn tàná tó gbogbo àwọn ìwàkiwà nígbà tí ò wá sí àwọn ẹ̀kọ́ dáadáa yìí má láwùjọ àwọn ìwà tí ò dá lọ́wọ́ ṣèkínni iná lọ́wọ́ gba ipò wọn so àwọn ìwà dáadáa yìí la fẹ́ dá padà sí àwùjọ.
naam ẹ ṣeun stars kọ́lọ́n ọba àlékiọlá kó má ṣàbáwá san yín ní ẹ̀san dáadáa eléyìí tí a fẹ́ ṣe iná kọ́lọ́n kó ṣe nírọ̀rùn kọ́lọ́n kó má ṣàgbá ní ìbádà ní ọwọ́ gbogbo wa. Inshallah this is where I'll be releasing my ustaz Imam Salman Muhammad Raji. In case you don't know him, he is the chief imam of the Muslim Congress Central Mosque at Udolowu, Ijesha, Lagos, and also is the cultural affairs officer of the Muslim Congress, Lagos State. So you're welcome, our Imam. We appreciate you for the insights you have given us to your lecture.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir. All right, audience at home, we thank you for your attention. We apologize for any misdemeanor that you might have observed. May Almighty Allah accept all our effort as out of Ibadah. Inshallah, the next thing is for me to also invite another facilitator, our Imam in the house. A pè wọ́n wọlé, àwọn náà wá bá wa sọ̀rọ̀ nípa nǹkan tó yẹ kí tí àwa jọmọ́ tí àwa bá pàdé nínú virtual Islamic training program tí ó máa wáyé láàrin ọjọ́ Jímọ̀ sí ọjọ́ Sunday. So màá pè sí orí amóhùnmáwòrán àwọn àfáà wa Al-Ustaz Al-Imam Hamid Adiremi jẹ́ pé wọ́n wà nínú àwọn facilitator wa olùdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ tí wọ́n máa dá wa lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ nínú ITP tí a fẹ́ ṣe. So láàrin ìṣẹ́jú díẹ̀ wọ́n bá wa sọ̀rọ̀ nípa àwọn nǹkan tó yẹ kí a máa retí, àwọn ìrètí wa nínú wáàsí ITP ọdún yìí, pàápàá jùlọ èyí tó ní ṣe pẹ̀lú eré àti agbègbè tí àwọn fẹ́ ṣe ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ fún wa lé lórí. Bismillah ya Sheikh.
نعم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله أيها المستمعون الكرام السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام وبركاته.
هذا وقف ولون هذا ترى كيف فون سنة النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم أكيد بقولين يلو تتسي واتي أتون ní orí ẹ̀rọ amóhùnmáwòrán pé ìkẹ́ ọlọ́run orí ajẹ́njẹ́ tán kí ọmọ abẹ́ni kọ̀ọ̀kan wá gbé. Bákan náà ni a tún ń kíra pé a kò múra sílẹ̀ ti ITP eléyìí tí à ń gbèrò láti bẹ̀rẹ̀ ìkọlọ́run kó má ṣàṣọ wájú àsìkò yẹn lọ. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí a ṣe ń rí tí wọ́n fi àwọn oríṣiríṣi àǹbẹ̀ tí à ń rí káàkiri tí a sì ti ń prepare kalẹ̀ lórí pé àkọlé ńlá eléyìí tí ìpàgọ́ náà tí ó máa dálé lórí òun náà ni àwọn ìwà rere, àwọn ẹ̀kọ́ rere, àwọn àdámọ̀ dáadáa tí Ọlọ́run bá lékè ọlá tí ó dá mọ́ wa ní orílẹ̀-èdè yìí. Tọ́já sí pé àti fi tún orílẹ̀-èdè àti fi tún ṣe nígbà kan rí tó wá yí bìrì táwa pàdánù rẹ̀ táwa ní mọ́. Ìyẹn ni àwọn ń jíròrò lórí pé báwo la ti fẹ́ restore ẹ̀, báwo la ti fẹ́ dá padà wá sínú ìgbésí ayé wa. Kí irú àǹfààní tọ́tọ́ sí wa níjọ́sí kí a lè bá tún rí padà. Ìyẹn ni àkọlé ńlá. Ṣùgbọ́n ní eléyìí tí èmi máa bá wa sọ̀rọ̀ lórí ní àsìkò yẹn pẹ̀lú ògo lọ́dọ̀ Ọlọ́run òun náà ní pé ọ̀nà wo ni ẹ̀yàmẹ̀yà àti ìgbé ìdílé rù, ìdílé báyìí lèmi ti wá, ẹ̀yà báyìí lẹ̀yà mi, ọ̀nà wo ló gbà di àdánwò fún wa tí tó fi kó bá ìgbésí ayé àlàáfíà wa ní orílẹ̀-èdè. Ìyẹn ni àkọlé eléyìí tí a fẹ́ gbọ́ ní abẹ́ àkọlé ńlá eléyìí tí a ti sọ síwájú yẹn. Kí ni àwọn nǹkan tí a fẹ́ kí a máa retí lórí ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ yìí? Òun náà ni a fẹ́ sọ fúnra wa. Kí ni àwọn ẹlẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ń pè ní ẹ̀yà? Tá bá fẹ́ mọ̀ kí ni ẹ̀yà, tá bá ń dákọ̀ ẹ̀yà, a máa dákọ̀ ẹ̀yà Yorùbá, a máa dákọ̀ ẹ̀yà Yíbò, a máa dákọ̀ ẹ̀yà Hausa, a máa dákọ̀ ẹ̀yà Fúlàní. Kí ni à ń jẹ́ ẹ̀yà gangan lọ́dọ̀ àwọn ẹlẹ́kọ̀ọ́? A máa ṣàlàyé lè fúnra wa. Kí ni ń jẹ́ ìdílé? A máa ṣàlàyé lè náà fúnra wa. Báwo la ṣe ń dá ìdílé mọ̀? Lẹ́yìn náà, kí ni àwọn àǹfààní tí ìlú wa yìí tó ti jẹ ẹ̀rí síwájú látara pé àwọn oríṣiríṣi àwọn ẹ̀yà rẹpẹtẹ tá a ní nílùú yìí wọ́n darapọ̀ mọ́ra, wọ́n ṣàṣepọ̀. Nígbà tí wọ́n ṣàṣepọ̀ yẹn, tí wọ́n gbé ìgbésí ayé àlàáfíà, tí Yíbò tó bá Yorùbá ṣọ̀rẹ́, tí Yorùbá bá Hausa ṣọ̀rẹ́, tí gbogbo wọn parapọ̀, àti Fúlàní àti gbogbo àwọn ẹ̀yà yòókù tá a lè dá akọ̀ tọ́ra àwọn tó lead, àwọn tó wà níwájú la dá akọ̀ yìí. Nígbà tí wọ́n parapọ̀, oore wo ní Nàìjíríà, orílẹ̀-èdè wa, oore wo lórí ńgbà yẹn? A máa ṣàlàyé ẹ̀ fún wa. Táwa náà tá a fi mọ̀ wípé ibi ìparapọ̀ yẹn a rí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àǹfààní ńbẹ̀. So lẹ́yìn ẹ̀ a tún máa sọ̀rọ̀ lórí pé tá bá ń sọ̀rọ̀ ẹ̀yà, tá ń sọ̀rọ̀ ìdílé, ojú wo lẹ̀sìn fi wò ó? Nínú ẹ̀sìn, bó o lẹ̀sìn ṣe fẹ́ ká bá a lò? Kò sẹ́ni tí ó wá láti inú ẹ̀yà kan, inú oníkálukú ti wá, inú ẹ̀yà kan lèmi náà ti wá, inú ìdílé kan mo ti wá. Tí èèyàn bá wá bára rẹ̀ ní wá láti inú ẹ̀yà kan, wá láti inú ìdílé kan, báwo ló ṣe fẹ́ bá ẹ̀yà yẹn lò? Báwo ló ṣe fẹ́ bá ìdílé yẹn wò? Ẹ̀kọ́ wo ni Islam kọ́? Báwo ni Islam ṣe júwe ẹ̀yà yẹn fún? Báwo ló ṣe júwe ìdílé yẹn fún? A fẹ́ ṣàlàyé eléyìí náà. Lẹ́yìn náà a tún ṣàlàyé nípa pé ìlànà Ànábì wa Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, báwo ló ṣe lò pẹ̀lú àwọn ẹ̀yà oríṣiríṣi tó bá àtàwọn ìdílé oríṣiríṣi tó bá lù Mádínà gẹ́gẹ́ bí olórí. Báwo ló ṣe bá wọn lò? Àwọn ẹ̀yà nínú àwa mùsùlùmí, àwọn ìdílé nínú àwa mùsùlùmí, àwọn ẹ̀yà nínú àwọn Yahudi àtàwọn ìdílé nínú àwọn Yahudi, àwọn ẹ̀yà nínú àwọn Nasara àtàwọn ìdílé nínú àwọn Nasara. Báwo la Ànábì gẹ́gẹ́ bí olórí, báwo ló ṣe bá gbogbo wọn lò tí wọ́n fi ṣàǹfààní fún ayé? Ìyẹn náà jẹ́ ẹ̀kọ́ tí a tún fẹ́ gbọ́ tá a mọ̀ látara Ànábì wa sallam, tí eléyìí máa yé wa. Nínú àwọn nǹkan tí ká tún máa retí òun náà ni àwọn aburú ńláńlá tó fò àtàdánù torílẹ̀-èdè wa pa, tá a ti pa tó ṣe orílẹ̀-èdè látara pé a gbé ẹ̀yà rù lẹ́nu, látara pé a gbé ìdílé rù lẹ́nu. Ẹ̀sìn pé oníkálukú wa ń jà fún ìdílé, oníkálukú ń jà fún ẹ̀yà rẹ̀ léyìí tí ò sí tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀. Kí ni àdánù tá a ti wá pa lórí ẹ̀? So ilé náà jẹ́ ọ̀kan nínú àwọn nǹkan tí a tún máa gbọ́. Nínú ẹ̀ náà ni kí ni àwọn ìlànà tá a fọ́lò lẹ́yọ ẹnì kọ̀ọ̀kan, àti ní olórí àti ní ọmọ ẹ̀yìn, tá a bá fẹ́ restore, tá a bá fẹ́ dá ìgbésí ayé àlàáfíà tá à ń sọ̀rọ̀ rẹ̀ yìí, ìjọgbépọ̀ dáadáa, ìgbọ́jẹ́pọ̀ àlàáfíà láàrin gbogbo àwọn ẹ̀yà, tá a bá fẹ́ dá padà sípò rẹ̀, àwọn ìgbésẹ̀ wo la máa gbé? So a máa gbọ́ àwọn nǹkan eléyìí náà. Eléyìí tí a fi gbẹ̀yìn rẹ̀ pẹ̀lú ògo Ọlọ́run náà ni pàtàkì ká gbé pọ̀ pẹ̀lú àlàáfíà. Ẹ̀rí pàtàkì ẹ̀ nínú ọ̀nà pé àwọn ojútùú lónìí gbogbo àlà ń fojú security, pé báwo la ṣe fẹ́ ní fọkànbalẹ̀, báwo ni gbínú ìdìbò fẹ́ dàgbàsókè. Ìlú tí ó bá ní fọkànbalẹ̀ kò ní dàgbàsókè. Tá a fẹ́ ní dàgbàsókè yẹn àti ìfọkànbalẹ̀ yẹn, tá a fẹ́ ní méjèèjì, ipa pàtàkì wo ni òun ni kájọ kọ́kọ́ gbígbèsè ayé àlàáfíà máa kó látàrẹ? A máa gbọ́ ìyẹn náà. Eléyìí ni oríṣiríṣi àwọn nǹkan tí a fẹ́ sọ nínú ìbánisọ̀rọ̀ eléyìí tí ń bọ̀ yìí. Kí Ọlọ́run bá lè kọ́ lákòmọ́sọ̀wájú kó bá ṣàṣọwájú.
Allahumma àmín, Allahumma àmín. Ustaz, bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe ń sọ̀rọ̀ yẹn lọ, òǹgbẹ wáàsí òǹgbẹ mi, ó dàbí ẹni pé ká sọ pé kí ọjọ́ wáàsí yẹn kó sáré máa bọ̀ ń sìn, ṣùgbọ́n àwọn elétò lè gbà á láàyè. Ó dìgbà tí wáàsí náà bá tásìkò náà bá tó lọ́sẹ̀ tó ń bọ̀ kí wáàsí náà tó wáyé, kọ́lọ́ má ṣàṣọwájú ìgbà náà, torí pé gbogbo àwọn nǹkan tẹ́ kàkálẹ̀, àwọn nǹkan tó yẹ pé oníkálukú wa ti ń retí ni láti jẹ́ ọ̀nà àbáyọ sí àwọn ìṣòro tí a ní nínú ìlú wa. Kọ́lọ́ kó má ṣàfẹ́lẹ́ ṣe sábàbí láti yí gbogbo wa padà. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí oníwàásí tó ń ṣe wáàsí fáwọn èèyàn, a ní nǹkan tẹ́yìn náà ń retí lọ́dọ̀ àwọn èèyàn tó ṣe pé wọ́n jẹ́ olùkópa, bóyá ní online ni àbí lóríṣiríṣi àwọn mídíà káàkiri. Kí ni àwọn nǹkan tó jẹ́ ìrètí yín lọ́dọ̀ wọn?
Àwọn nǹkan tí à ń retí lọ́dọ̀ àwọn olùtẹ́tísí wa ó náà ni pé ká kọ́kọ́ láníyàn wípé ITP ọdún yìí tá a fẹ́ ṣe ọ̀nà àbáyọ la fẹ́ fi wá fún orílẹ̀-èdè. Téèyàn bá kọ́kọ́ lẹ́mìí pé torí gbogbo àlà ń gbẹ̀ngbẹ̀ rẹ̀, so ká bá ti lẹ́mìí pé ìpàgọ́ ti ọdún yìí táwọn TMC fẹ́ ṣe yìí a fẹ́ fi wá ọ̀nà àbáyọ sí àwọn ìṣòro orílẹ̀-èdè yìí ni ó fi hàn pé ẹ̀mí tá a máa gbé wá láti fi gbọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn ẹ̀mí yẹn máa yàtọ̀ sí ẹ̀mí tí ọkàn wa gbọ́rọ̀ kan lásán so a lè farabalẹ̀ gbogbo àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn láti bẹ̀rẹ̀ dópin tá bá dẹ̀ gbọ́ láti bẹ̀rẹ̀ dópin a gbọ́ nígbò ẹni tó fẹ́ mú lò so lẹ́yìn náà a sì lè dá sí àbọ̀dọ̀ láǹfààní àti dá sí because ó lè jẹ́ pé àwọn ọ̀nà tí lecturer tó gbà wo àwọn nǹkan nígbà tó bá yá wọn sọ pé káwa tá wà lé náà káwa náà dá sí tá a bá farabalẹ̀ gbọ́ tàbí jẹ́ pé bá a ṣe gbọ́ díẹ̀ a kó ń bẹ̀ a tún lọ sí àwọn kankan a tún gbọ́ díẹ̀ so a ní lè bá padà lè dá sí àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ yìí bó ṣe yẹ kí a dá sí afẹ́ káfẹ́ ti balẹ̀ dáadáa ká dẹ̀ mọ̀ yìí pé ọ̀nà àbáyọ ní tí bá dẹ̀ fẹ́ wọ́n àbáyọ sí gbèsè ayé ẹ̀ ó yẹ kí ó mú yàn lómi ó dẹ̀ yẹ kó farabalẹ̀ dáadáa kó ń gbó tó pé àwọn èèyàn míì tí wọn ò tí ì gbọ́ pé a ti fẹ́ wọ́n àbáyọ sí ìṣòro tí ń dojú kọ wá gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọmọ orílẹ̀-èdè.
ẹ ṣeun sars jazakumullahu khairan fún gbogbo àwọn ìlàkalẹ̀ tí ẹ ti là kalẹ̀ gbogbo àwa tá a wà nílé tá à ń gbọ́ ètò mock NITP wọ́n ti fún wa lójúṣe o ojúṣe tí stars ń fún wa náà ni pé alákọ̀ọ́kọ́ kó ní kálukú wa kọ́kọ́ di ẹ̀mí wa lámùrè yìí pé a fẹ́ gbìyànjú láti wá ọ̀nà àbáyọ sórílẹ̀-èdè wa ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kejì ni pé káà náà wá fi ṣiṣẹ́ láti kó àwọn èèyàn wa sí viewing center wa káàkiri ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ káàkiri àwọn ìlú tá a ti ní àwọn viewing center káwọn náà wá farabalẹ̀ gbọ́rọ̀ náà kí ọ̀nà àbáyọ kó ba lè bá ìlú wa a dúpẹ́ púpọ̀ lọ́wọ́ yín stars fún jíjẹ́ tí ẹ jẹ́ wa kọ́lọ́run ba lè ká kó má ṣàbà ṣe àlékún ìmánì kó bá ṣe àlékún dáràjà yín kó bá ṣe àlékún gbogbo rẹ̀ fún yín ẹ ṣeun jazakumullahu khairan jaza. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Now, thank you, audience, for being part of this mock NITP. We are moving, alhamdulillah, we are progressing. So I think now I want to bring to the limelight an international scholar of repute that is currently online with us. He's no other person than our dear brother, our father, who is going to be speaking to us all the way from London. It's no other person than our scholar. He is a local mate, but he has been away for quite some time to uphold the glory of the nation and also to seek a greener pasture. It's no other person than our brother, our father, a professor of laws at the School of Oriental and African Studies, University of London since 2007. He is the first Nigerian to be appointed full professor at the School of Oriental and African Studies since the founding of the university in 1916. He was head of the School of Oriental and African Studies School of Law from 2009 to 2012. He's a director of the School of Oriental and African Studies Center of Islamic and Middle Eastern Law from 2012 to 2015. Chair of the Center of African Studies, CAS, from 2015 to 2018, and a member of the Board of Trustees of the International African Institute from 2012 to 2016. Join me to welcome to the podium our father, our brother, Professor Moshood Adebayo Badiri, who is going to be talking to us within the next 2-3 minutes on what should be the expectation of the delegate and audience to this virtual edition of Islamic Training Program. And of course, we'll have the privilege to also ask him what is his own expectation from the delegate. Don't forget, the theme for this year's virtual Islamic Training Program is Restoration of National Values, Our Collective Responsibility. I will now invite to open the mic and of course to open his camera so that members of the Congress and all Muslims all over Nigeria that are watching you can see the face of that locally made professor who is now gaining ground and making popularity and raising the hope of the nation across the world. It's no other person than Professor Moshood Badiri. Please, Prof, please open your mic and speak to the audience.
Jazakumullah khair for having me. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, loud and clear, Prof.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm really honored to be part of the Muslim Congress program, which we are looking forward to. Thank you so much for having me. And the topic that has been assigned to me, which I will be speaking on, inshallah, is on the Medina model as a yardstick for national rebirth. And it's a very, very important topic because, I mean, all the time, we talk about Islam as being the exemplar. I mean, we find that, I mean, the Quran tells us that, I mean, Muslims, Allah makes us the exemplars of mankind. So Islam is the exemplar of mankind. And the Prophet himself, the Quran tells us that he is our model. Now, we go back to the Medinan state, the nascent Medinan state all the time to show examples. Because since, I mean, that time, I mean, Muslims are still learning from it. Some have tried, but I mean, it's very difficult to say that there's any Muslim nation today that has met that model. So, I mean, the title of it, a yardstick for national rebirth, is really very relevant, not only for Nigeria, but all the world, all the Muslim nations. I mean, we need to look back at the Medina model. Now, Medina was in a particular state before the Prophet migrated from there after spending 13 years in Mecca to Medina. And he spent only 10 years in Mecca, in Medina. And the history is there, the facts are there. Politically, socially, developmentally, Medina changed radically. So you find out that, I mean, the Medina model establishes real models for all nations to look at. And you'll be surprised, actually. There are Western scholars who have pointed to it, that at that point in time, even up to modern times, there's still a lot that can be learned. And when we talk about constitutionalism today, you find many Muslim scholars indicating that when the Wathiqat al-Medina, when the Prophet moved from Mecca to Medina, the first thing he did, because you find out that today in many nations, including Nigeria, things are just done ad hocly, haphazardly. The Prophet was receiving revelation when he moved to Medina. You could have said that, well, leave everything to me and address things haphazardly. But no. One of the first things he did after he built his mosque was to establish, a form of regulation, Wathiqat al-Medina, which is considered, there are so many writings on it, as the first constitution of the world. Hamidullah, for example, has written a very good book on it, the first constitution of the world. And if you look at it, so a lot of the time when we talk about constitutionalism, good governance, a lot of people want to see that, well, it is imposed by the West. But no, but if we look at the history of Islam, I mean, the golden period of Islam started from the Medinan sense. So in relation, we'll be looking at it in relation to organization of the state itself, and learn lessons from it, particularly in relation to peaceful coexistence and multiculturalism. Because Medina was made up of, I mean, not only Muslims and not only even of the Arabs, tribes alone, and the Prophet, I mean, regulated that. We'll be also looking at it from the perspective of rule of law, how you maintain society through the rule of law. And it's a social cohesion. And I mean, when you look at the sources, you'll be surprised. Today we talk about the need to provide social amenities in society. Now, one of the first things that the Prophet did when he was in Medina was commanding or enjoining the Sahaba to build wells, because there was no water. I mean, the sanitation situation in Medina was very bad. The waters were very smelly and things like that. And then, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, instigated the need to provide social amenities. Today, one of the main, points in relation to international relations is borders. We demarcate borders to indicate that, well, this is where our border lies. If you look at the history of Medina, when the Prophet entered Medina, after he established in Medina, one of the things he did was that he sent the companions, and these are all on records, to identify the borders of Medina, to plant trees to indicate the borders, what constitutes Medina. So if you look at it from that point of view, in relation to Nigeria's diverse ethnicity, natural resources, and also, source of strength, I mean, we can learn so much, from Medina, and also how to live harmoniously in society. So, it's not only, a lot of the time, the bigotry, the religious bigotry. In one article I wrote, I indicated one of the problems in Nigeria. There are three main problems actually: religious bigotry, political bigotry, and tribal bigotry. But religious bigotry seems to be at the top. And for this reason, you find out that if we follow this way, things will be done better according to the Medinan model. If people do not have a sort of acceptable mind, and if religious bigotry overshadows the mind, non-Muslims but might not want to look at that. So my expectation is that perhaps, since it's a public event, apart from Muslims following that, even the non-Muslims in Nigeria, when we bring all these facts, perhaps maybe we should look at it objectively, and perhaps, we can be able to learn from it in order to be able to make our country a much more harmonious and a better society. So that's the summary of what I'll be covering. I hope I've made my point. I can't hear you. Sorry.
Thank you very much, Prof. Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me now?
Alaikum salam. Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, thank you very much for that wonderful presentation. While you were talking, I recall recently a friend of mine traveled to the city of Medina. She came back telling us all sorts of development, infrastructural, and name it. So I was now imagining, is it possible for our own Nigeria to be like the city of Medina? Prof.
Yes, it's possible. It's possible. Because of the fact that, one thing, there's no limitation in relation to how human beings can better their conditions and can better the earth. And there are many verses in the Quran, the Quran tells us in Surah Al-Mulk, we read it all the time. If you are able to move between, the galaxies, Allah says, do it. But you will not be able to do it except with the permission of Allah. And Allah also commands us that we should perfect the earth. La tufsidu fil ard ba'da islahiha. Allah has created the world perfect, and we should continue to develop it and perfect it. So now, if we follow, if we use, our objective mindset, if we look the knowledge that we have acquired, and this also relates to, the first revelation of Islam itself is about knowledge. Read. You read. This is what I tell my students and everybody. I tell my own children, my grandchildren here, is that you have to, the only thing that can make you develop is to read and read and read and read. You just have to continue reading, acquiring knowledge, because knowledge is not restricted. You find it's static, because Allah says in the Quran, Tilkal ayam, the days of the world, that will have in us. We change it amongst the people. The days, the nights, things change. So if you look at Medina today, as you rightly said, and even Mecca, people who go to pilgrimage will always come to, when they went last year, when they come back, they say, things have changed though. There's nothing. Islam indicates that, we can better our situations. And if we learn from that, and one thing is, it's about us. When you talk about, when you talk about the fact that, because I teach in university, or you say university to give you an example, if you talk about that, that this university is a great university, it has integrity. Anybody who thinks very well will know that when you talk about that, you are not talking about the buildings. You are not talking about structures. You are talking about the people who run the university. They were in the university, the lecturers, the vice chancellor. So if these people are good, the university will be good. So when we talk about a state, it's not only about the structures. If people are good, it will reflect. You see what they do. They will make things easy for everybody. They will develop the country, and it's Allah has left it in our hands. Allah says, a human being cannot gather anything except what they do. So we can definitely, if we check our excesses, our corruption, which Islam also prohibits, and other things, we can make Nigeria great and perfect, inshallah. Sorry, I can't hear you. Is it from my side? I think you are muted. Or maybe it's the network.
Assalamu alaikum. Can anyone hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now. Yes, I can hear you now. I can't hear you again. It's gone. That's the problem.
And
Oh, I can't hear you. I'm sorry. Maybe it's the.
what's happening? What's happening to my?
Okay, I
All
can
right,
hear you
so-
now. It's just coming in.
Yeah,
and going
assalamu
out,
alaikum,
yeah.
Prof. Can you hear me now?
Wa alaikum salam,
All
I
right,
can
so
hear you.
I want to tell you that your presentation has glided my heart, and I have the belief in me that your full lecture at this National Islamic Training Program is full with gimmicks and a lot of techniques for our political leaders, our religious leaders, our leaders from every nooks and crannies of Nigeria on how to make our own Nigeria be greater like the city of Medina. So I want to use this opportunity to appreciate you and also tell you what the expectation of the audience are when the time comes for the lecture proper. And also I want to also congratulate you for coming to this mock NITP. So I want to implore you to stay on the call when it's time for the audience to make their contribution and probably ask questions. There might be some of the questions that you may need to respond to. Thank you very much, sir, for giving us the privilege and the honor. Jazakumullahu khairan kathir.
Jazakumullahu khairan. Thank you for having me.
Right, inshallah, audience, we're going to have a short break, and after the short break, one of the facilitator from this from the studio will be joining the podium. Okay, so I've just been informed that we should go ahead before any short break. So I have the privilege and the honor, a singular honor, to invite our father, our Babawa, the Grand Imam of Zakat and Sadaqah Foundation, our Sheikh, our Ustaz, Al-Hajj Tirmidhi Muhammad Jami. Wọ́n máa sọ fún wa kí ni n tó gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́ ìrètí wa tó yẹ kó jẹ́ ìrètí wa nínú National Islamic Training Program ìpàgọ́ ti ọdún yìí, pàápàá jùlọ èyí tó ní í ṣe pẹ̀lú wáàsí àti ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ tí àwọn ustaz wa tí wọ́n máa ṣe fún wa.